Yeah, I started in, must have been about 96, and I started at university. So yeah, it was just a kind of a fun sport to start with, and yeah, then it sort of grew from there. It's sort of one of those sports you don't really realise until it's kind of too late. So it was probably yeah, my second year. It kind of because you start rowing and then suddenly you're rowing kind of 6 days a week, and you know, before you even realise it, and then you suddenly realise you got no time, and yeah, that's probably when I realised that I was fairly well hooked on it. I was in New Zealand, yeah. So yeah, just I was at Auckland University at the time, and then that sort of led on to a club, and started rowing at a club. Yeah, sort of after that first season. Yeah, I played a lot of sports, so I love sport, and yeah, I pretty much had tried most sports that were available in New Zealand, but canoe polo was actually like my biggest sport before I took up rowing. Apart from being on water, no, there wasn't. Yeah, as I say, like rowing is a weird sport because there's so much work required. So yeah, rowing, you just seem to train a lot and not do much racing, and but yeah, something about it. I think probably the hard work makes it pretty satisfying when you achieve anything. Yeah, well, both my sisters had rowed at school. They were both younger than me, but I didn't really have any history with it apart from that. The reason I started was my mates kind of said, look, there's this tournament on for universities, and let's get a crew together and go along. So yeah, that's really how I started. You know, it was really sort of forced upon me by my mates, but yeah, it was a pretty good ending, I guess. Just the hard work required, and you know, you can never reach perfection in rowing. There's always something you can improve on, and you know, I've been rowing now for nearly 20 years, and you know, even being an Olympic champion, there's still things that you can improve every day. So you're always striving for that perfection, which is probably never attainable. Yeah, well, I think the thing I like about rowing is racing. That's the bit that I really love. But as I said, we don't get to do that much of it. So you know, that's what I guess I live for, and that's what you know, why we do all the training is for those moments when you can go out and race. Well, I think the training. You know, it's hard work, and you know, we train, you know, twice a day, 6 days a week, 11 months a year. So you know, there's a lot of hard work involved in that, and you know, you certainly have months where you're tired and the weather's not good, and you certainly don't want to be out there rowing. But you know, it's you know, that's sort of, I guess, one of the things that you have to do if you want to perform, and you know, it's just a sort of necessary evil. So you know, you do have some good months, and you know, like right now we're in a very beautiful place in Europe. You know, that's the kind of good parts of it. You get to travel to some amazing places, and you know, that does make the training a little bit easier. I think when I hurt my back in 2010, that was a pretty tough time for me. Not really, you know, it didn't make me question, you know, should I be doing this? It was more, you know, can I do this, and can I get back to sort of my best? And you know, it required a huge shift in the way that I trained, and I have to look after my back a lot more now, and it was quite scary, I guess, at the time, just knowing that we've got an ongoing kind of arthritic condition, which is going to affect me for the rest of my life, and that was something. I guess it was more an obstacle to overcome, but at the time you're never quite sure that you can overcome it. I always thought I could, but you're never positive until you can sort of get out the other side and actually prove to yourself that you can do it, and thankfully I managed to do that. Probably the most memorable race for me was my first the first World Cup that I ever competed at, in the single, and it was almost like a shock, because I'd that year I'd been hit by a water skier, and I had a fractured vertebrae in my back, and I was still in quite a lot of pain, and I was racing, and suddenly I finished with a silver medal, and I hadn't expected that at all. So that was a pretty awesome race, and I guess that really gave me the belief to go on. And later that year, I won my first world title, which was I guess for me it was a bit of a shock, and something I was pretty stoked with. Probably Beijing. I sort of went in as the favourite into Beijing, and it came away with a bronze medal. That was a sort of a moment that I had to really go back and assess things, and try to be honest with myself, and really try to pick up on what I could and couldn't improve. And that was it was a pretty tough few months after that race. Just really working out what had gone wrong, and what I could do about fixing it. I actually got sick in Beijing, and that I guess was a contributing factor to my performance. But I sort of said to myself, well, that's never going to be an excuse, because these things can happen, and you've got to find a way that if the same thing happened to you in London, that you could overcome it and still win. So that was probably the race that I learnt the most from. Probably the highlights. I've won 5 World Championship titles in the single, and won Olympic gold and Olympic bronze medal. So that would be the sort of biggest highlights. And then there's lots of other regattas that I've won, but those are sort of, I guess, the Olympics and the World Champs every year. They're the sort of ones that you really try to get up for, and try to win. Probably the biggest challenge is just overcoming obstacles. There's plenty of things that happen along the way that you don't expect, or you don't sort of necessarily want, and it's just a matter of trying to find a way around those, so that you can keep moving forward and achieving your goals. Well, I think like any successful crew, they all have a sort of a common goal, and generally you have whether it's 4 or 8 people or 2 people, all on the same page, and they all kind of want to achieve that common goal. So everyone's motivated and will do what it takes to do that. So I was I guess in crews before I was in the single, and then I've raced in 8s, where we've come to races like the Head of a Charles, and competed with guys that we haven't usually rode with, but we throw together a crew, and I think it's something that's, a great part of the sport. When you get an 8 or a big boat, really, in sync and going well, it's a pretty amazing feeling. So, but I think those sort of traits are the ones that make those crews successful, compared to the other crews that don't necessarily win. I sort of early on, I guess I looked at, my times and what I had to do to get to where I wanted to go. And then, I had obviously the 4-year goals, which is the Olympic cycle, and then broke that down into years, and then into months, into weeks, into days. And, so every day I've got little goals that I need to achieve, in order for me to get to where I want to go over that 4-year period. So rowing's had a pretty enormous impact on my life. It's been awesome over 20 odd years of meeting some amazing people, including my wife. And I've got some really good friends out of it. Both from New Zealand and people I've rowed with, and also guys from overseas, some of my competitors. So, it's had a huge impact on my life. It's made me a household name in New Zealand. It's really I guess my life would be completely different if I hadn't been a rower. Accounting. So I'm a partly qualified accountant, but that's all been put on the back burner, I guess, for the last 16 years I've been in the New Zealand team, and so that's sort of something that I look forward to taking up at some point once I retire. I think it does. It gives you, another perspective, another sort of string to your bow. And while it's pretty hard studying, I think being a student athlete is also an advantage over just the athletes, because you do have something to fall back on. Sport is very fickle, and it can just end tomorrow with a serious injury or illness or something like that, or you're not selected. So. It is really important, I think, to study and have something else to fall back on. I'm now 36, and it's a pretty scary life, I guess, when you think about rowing, and that's all you've really done over your working life. And it's nice to have something that you sort of feel confident that if it all ended tomorrow, that you could go out and do something else. I guess it's probably probably getting hit by a water skier. That was something that it's still is still very much. I still remember it very well, and it's it was a sort of, I guess, defining moment in my career, and I remember how scary it was at the time. I lost the feeling in my legs, and I didn't know whether I was going to be able to walk again, let alone row. But that whole experience gave me a whole new perspective, and I guess I was finding the training pretty hard at the time, and it just kind of said to me, well, enjoy it while it lasts, and make the most of your opportunities, and and that was a pretty important lesson to learn. I think it set me in pretty good stead. I think it's pretty awesome. Probably the most fun time is the Olympics. As rowers, we finish in the first week, so you get the second week to just go out and enjoy the Olympics. And as I said, I've got some really good mates that are rowers and supporters. Guys I used to row with come and usually come to the Olympics, plus all the guys that you compete with are your mates, and they're all there. And you get to go out and watch, other sports, other events, and just enjoy, I guess the 4 years of hard work. So, it's always a fun time, and it's always a bit of a hard time as well, because like after London, you're on a pretty massive high from winning, and you suddenly you forget about all that hard work that's gone into it, and you're ready to go again, and you sort of want to get back to training, and then a month later you start training again. You kind of go, wow, this is hard, and you sort of forgotten about all those hard moments that have gone into that success, and you realise you're locked in for another 4 years. It's pretty tough, but you certainly enjoy the moments when you are at the Olympics. Really cut loose and enjoy it. Yeah, we sort of train. So we train 6 days a week, twice a day. We usually get Wednesday afternoons is a sort of afternoon off, so we'll do 2 sessions in the morning. And for me, it's six mornings a week I'm rowing, and then I do a couple of gym sessions, and then usually 4 or 5 rides in the week, and that's in the afternoons. And then the other days I'm doing either weights or kayaking to make up the session. So that's pretty much my week. It's usually 20 odd hours of actually on the actually either on the water or on the bike training, and then obviously there's a lot of recovery and massage and physio, and just trying to keep all the niggles under control, and eating ends up taking a lot of time as well. It's a task in itself. My ultimate goal is at the moment is to win another Olympic gold medal in Rio next year. So that's what I'm sort of aiming for. I guess that's how I sort of always structure it, is that 4-year cycle, and then year to year. So I only ever go 4 years at a time, and I really enjoy what I'm doing at the moment, and I guess after Rio I have to reassess as to whether I try for one more, or whether that's enough, and I've achieved everything I've wanted to. I think there's always hindsight. Things that you'd like to go back and change, but I think that's with anything in life, that you don't do it perfectly the first time, and the important thing is that you learn from those mistakes and try not to make those mistakes again. And that's something certainly I don't dwell on a lot. I certainly do look back and say, what would have I done differently, and just the way I would have done things would have been slightly different if I could do it again. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the way that it's worked out. I made the switch in 2005 to go into the single, and that was was a decision that probably paid off. But again, that's in hindsight. There's no guarantees that it was going to work, and I'm very happy with the course that I chose. But I did really enjoy also sweeping and in the crew boats, and as I say, we still do that a little bit now. Like last year, ahead of a Charles, we got together in an 8 with all the best scullers in the world and raced. So it's great to sort of keep your hand in and try those sort of things, just to try to keep it interesting and fun. I think I like sculling better. Purely, you're just more balanced. You obviously you're not rotating around the round the oar. It's just a little bit more natural, I think, the sculling action. But it's obviously there's not so many options with the cruise and sculling as there is in sweep. It's quite a funny. Probably if I use the single as an example, when I started in the single, I fell in a few times, and It's probably, more than anything, you're sort of in the water laughing. You kind of can't believe that it just happens so quickly, and you sort of feel like a bit of an amateur. So yeah, it's an experience that well, I guess it's not one that you want to happen, but usually you can find the funny side of it. I think it's a wonderful sport, and the good thing about it is you don't need to have a huge amount of natural talent. It's about hard work, and if you're prepared to set goals and work hard towards them, anything is possible in the sport. So it's something that I really enjoy about the sport is those that work hard generally get the results, and it is a wonderful sport to be involved in, and I think it's really opens up opportunities to meet some wonderful people. I think the new row is it's set your goals, and it's a sport which it seems really hard, but don't complicate it too much. You do the same thing 220 times in a race, and the sort of sometimes the less you think about it, the better you row. It's about training your body just to do it naturally, and if you can do that, it makes things a lot easier. I think like the general public don't really understand the hard work that actually goes into achieving the Olympic goals, or there's every crew out there has put in a huge amount of hours and work to get there, and I guess when you watch it on TV it quite often looks easy, but that's just because they've done so much training. They make it look easy, and I can assure you when you're in the boat, your lungs are screaming, your body's telling you to stop, and it's not at all easy. I think there is obviously the bigger regattas, the most important ones. There's a bit more pressure, and it's probably not as fun while you're competing. It's a lot more serious, and the club regattas you're racing, like from beginners right through to Olympians, can be racing in the same races, and that's pretty cool. But those ones are more fun for us because they're not so serious, and results don't matter quite as much as when you get one opportunity every 4 years to race that Olympic final, and you've got to make the most of that situation. You get a lot more nervous, and there's a lot more pressure to perform in those moments. I think what surprised me is how hard it was. Just to coordinate that blade through the water, and as you said before, like to not catch a crab, and because it looks so easy from the outside, but when you actually get into the boat, it's it's a lot more complicated, and feathering the blade and squaring the blade at the right time, and getting it in the water, and then getting your work on. It was a lot harder than I ever thought it would be. But it's one of those things that as you work at it, you get better and better at it, and that's pretty satisfying. I've done just little bits. I would never call myself a coach, but I've helped out occasionally, and it's pretty hard, to be honest. You sort of. You're not quite sure what to look at, and I certainly have a lot of respect for the coaches around the world, with what they do, and their commitment to be there is just as much as any of the athletes, but they're not getting the kind of fitness or the opportunity to race. So certainly respect everything they do. My starting sequence is pretty simple, really. It's I start at 3/4 slide and do a 3/4 half, 3/4 full, and then just sort of wind into my race rhythm. So there's nothing complicated about it. I think that's, as I said before, you just try to take some of that complication out, just make it simple, and that's how you can do it the best. It's a pretty tough one. I think it's one of those things that you probably start feeling it at like probably 300 meters, and by about 500 meters you're thinking, man, I'm not going to make it to the end here, but you generally always get a second wind, and I just kind of hang in there hoping that is going to happen, and I'm gonna find I haven't had to stop yet. So you just back your training that your fitness is going to kick in, and it's going to feel a little bit easier as you get further down the course. I just think it's a fantastic sport. It's got fantastic people involved in it, and I feel very lucky to be involved in the sport.